Welcome back, Truth Seeker. Saturday, April 24th, 2021. Some headlines we want to go over today. The memorial for DMX, born Earl Simmons, is today, and it's in the Barclays Center. Of course, there's concerts there. The Nets play there, their basketball games. And recently, they did the big tribute to Notorious B.I.G. there. That was while Jay-Z and Diddy were both 47. Go back and look at that. Also, right after the news of Shock G being found dead in Tampa on April 22nd, another headline emerged from the area, and former NFL linebacker Geno in hospice care with his mother praying for him at 33. Again, both these stories were on the 112th day of the year. Geno used to play for the Bucks. He also wore 55 with the other Florida team, the Jaguars. And again, this comes right after Tampa wins Super Bowl 55 in Tampa Bay. And remember, in Gematria, Super Bowl equals 112. These stories from the 112th day of the year. Shock G, dead in Tampa, and this young football player. Also today, Joe Biden officially recognized the Armenian genocide. You know, it's a popular topic. You've probably heard about it before. Even a rock band for many years promoted awareness about the Armenian genocide. I'm trying to think of their name right now. System of a Down. That's what they're called. But we'll talk more about this. The interesting thing about it being the 114th day of the year, 424, where this event from World War I began. And also yesterday, Biden made a big pitch for big spending on climate change. And this is part of the reason that we said that Biden would win the rigged election on November 3rd, 113. We were talking about the Green New Deal and how it fits in with Agenda 21 and Agenda 2030. Again, Green New Deal's 113. On the 113th day of the year, the big spiel for big spending on climate change, which is what the Green New Deal is. And again, the election was 11/3. And then the face of the Green New Deal, AOC, she was in the news as well. Her birthday is 1013, October 13th. But again, just same old patterns. That's why it's so easy to see that these people are puppets. We'll talk more about the CDC. Now, again, recommending the Johnson & Johnson vaccine on the 113th day of the year. We'll talk about the French stabbing of the 49-year-old police officer, Derek Chauvin. They set the sentencing date for June 16th. Talk about why that is. Just familiar patterns all over the place. And an update in the shooting in Rock Hill, South Carolina, the family killed by the former NFL player, according to the police. Again, we get an update in that story. And again, that's probably, if you're ranking stories that just make no sense, that one's high up there. But, and again, it's just like they said that the football player suicided himself after he killed the family. I mean, to me, it looks like he's the patsy and he's not here to speak for himself. And they just expect you to take the word of the authority. The government, the news, the police. Also, we have another Saturday shooting, they're saying, on Bourbon Street, close to 2 a.m. And again, just seems like every Saturday they got to give us a national news story. And then we'll talk about Bitcoin hitting its peak right now on the 13th, and it's been in a bit of a dip ever since. Something that definitely stands out about that. But let's start right here again with the memorial. DMX's memorial is today, Saturday, April 24th, 2021. A date with 69 numerology as well as 49. And his birth name, Earl Simmons, is 69. And his hip-hop name, Darkman X, is 49. People mostly just call him DMX, but that's what it stands for, Darkman X. And again, of course, he just died on April 9th, 4/9. The same way the Earl, or on the same day that the Earl died in the UK, Elizabeth's husband, Prince Philip. He died at age 99 on the 99th day of the year, April 9th, the same day Earl Simmons died. And in light of, the memorial being in the Barclays Center, where, of course, concerts are, and again, where they did the big tribute for Notorious B.I.G., again, just the world of entertainment overall. The Nets play right there. Jay-Z, big with the Brooklyn Nets, part owner at a lot of the games. Jay-Z still lives. Jay-Z, arguably the biggest beneficiary in the world from the death of Notorious B.I.G. It'd either have to be him or Puff Daddy. But, the year Notorious died, 97, March 9th, 97. Remember, Notorious, 97, Death, 97. Biggie 39, dead on 39. We'll go over all of it. I have a long post when we covered the Notorious thing. Again, once upon a time there were videos on all these things. It's just the channels keep getting taken down, but we'll go over it all. But anyway, entertainment, hip hop, basketball, the Nets there, the NBA, LeBron's league. So many sacrifices in the world of celebrity. A lot of times, right when it happens, we see right away how it's for LeBron. Last year, a little before this time, more than a year ago, that LeBron James album was coming out, and we said, oh, man, this is not good for this rapper. We're probably talking about his obituary pretty soon, but this is more confirmation the Lakers will win the finals, what we were saying last year with the whole LeBron James thing. And sadly, all that was right, And the death ritual couldn't have been any more obvious on November 6th. But, again, fitting day for memorial for DMX, but in light of the league, the NBA being about LeBron James, here we are on the 114th day of the year, and that's the LeBron number. Again, we just talked about the young man who just died right after signing with LeBron's Clutch Sports, Terrence Clark, who died on LeBron's 114th day of his age. And since I did that video yesterday, people have made really good observations about the coach at Kentucky, too. It's sick how they line this stuff up, man. But anyway, it was another 114 ritual with LeBron. We're always talking about LeBron in 114. Last year, he won the finals 114 days after the real King James's birthday. The real King James's birthday is June 19th, 619, like 619, the 114th prime. And again, when LeBron won the finals with the Cavs, that was on the real King James's birthday, June 19th. That was his 13th season. Like the real King James became a king at 13 months of age. By the way, Nets has that Gematria 13. Of course, Harden went to the Nets on the 13th day of the year. Anyhow, today's the 114th day of the year. LeBron James, it's his league, big star, his death being remembered in an NBA stadium. And notice LeBron James has the 42 in his name as well. And they said DMX overdosed on April 2nd, right? 11 p.m. They say he overdosed late Good Friday, 4/2, and then the news broke April 3rd that he was in a vegetative state. Keep in mind, his memorial's today, one day before the 93rd Academy Awards. DMX was an actor, too. That we got the news of him being hospitalized in a vegetative state April 3rd, the 93rd day of the year. Another special number, but anyhow, 114th day of the year, 4/2 OD date, big numbers that we talk about with LeBron all the time. And then here's the other thing, Barclays Center has that Gematria 56. We talked about this before the season began. We talked about how the finals begin on a 56-date numerology, July 8th, 2021. Excuse me. Like I said, my throat's worn out these days. Okay. But before the season began, we said in our community on Patreon, look at the 56th NBA season. The 56th NBA season ended with the finals, Lakers over Nets. This year, the finals begin on a 56-date numerology. LeBron will go into the finals 4-6, which means he does have the chance to fall to 4-7, or he can improve to 5-6. And again, 56th NBA season, the number 56 is hot right now, just everywhere in sports. A big part of the reason we like Matsuyama in the Masters this year. He's born on the 56th day of the year. Again, this number, we're just documenting it left and right. News and sports for the past year and a half straight. But So again, the memorial's there. And we know the Jesuits control the world of hip-hop. Tupac, his Machiavelli album came out November 5th, the day leaving 56 days left in the year. Him on the cross like Jesus. Machiavelli has the same gematria as Jesus and cross, and Messiah and gospel and parables and Tupac and rapper. And again, Notorious B.I.G. died in 97. DMX came out in 97. Notorious B.I.G. He died in a span of 74 days from his birthday. 73 days before, or a span of 74. 73 is the sacrifice number. 74 is the killing number, the rapper number. And so anyway, the finals this year have a big 56 connection. If they were in the Barclays Center, I mean, it would make a lot of sense in light of just the ritual. Remember last year, 56 was part of the ritual as well. NBA Bubbles 56. And there were several 56 rituals once they started playing in the bubble. The best was when the Utah Jazz improved to 5-6 in the bubble 56 days after Rudy Gobert's birthday, and they paid something like 3-1 to upset that game, and they did. And Rudy Gobert was the leading scorer. The guy blamed for coronavirus. Coronavirus equals 56, like NBA bubble, like Society of Jesus. Again, if you're new here, what you really should do is read my book. And I made it free on my Patreon page if you can't afford it, the ebook version free. But you'll get all caught up on 56. You'll understand a lot. Anyhow, 56 just so huge in sports, huge with the rapper death rituals. It just all fits so together. Jesuits control your NBA, as we pointed out for a long time. They control your world of sports, college and pro. And they control your entertainment too, and they bring it all together year after year in the same type of rituals. And just notice, it's all numerology too. The memorial for the rapper born Earl Simmons is expected to start around 4 p.m. Why does it start at 4? Again, in the occult, here, Manly P. Hall. Manly P. Hall, who shared a lot of secrets. Manly P. Hall. This book right here, he'll tell you all about what 4 is, the number related to death. And even before I read that in his book, I already knew that because again, in Japanese, the number 4 is pronounced the same way as death, same within Mandarin Chinese. Chinese and Japanese, the number 4 pronounced the same way as death. The numbers associated with death. It's written in other places too besides Manly P. Hall's book. Plus, we just notice how in Gematria, words like kill is 44, execution 44, how many deaths are connected to 4. You know, first president to ever die in office, William Henry Harrison on 4-4, MLK assassinated on that day, Malcolm X killed on a date with 44 numerology, Marvin Gaye killed on his last day of being 44. Just so many examples of 4 in death. And no doubt that's why the memorial, which is clearly a numerological ritual, is happening at 4. And don't forget that the 4th book of the Bible is Numbers, and a lot of people contend to be believers, but they don't really try to understand what's in the book or why there are so many numbers and why so many numbers seem arbitrary, but at the same time it's obvious that they were put there for some reason. Again, most people don't try to understand anything in the world. By the way, from the OD April 2nd to today is 22 days later, and basketball is 22, but what's 22 in numerology terms? It is the master builder number, but you can also break it down to 4. 2 plus 2 is 4. The memorial. 22 days after the OD. 3 weeks after the news. 3 weeks after the news, right? News broke April 3rd is Saturday. Now it's Saturday, April 24th. 21 days later, 3 weeks. 3 has the Gematria 56 like Abrahamic, the 3 Abrahamic religions. Again, most of these numbers are biblical. The word light is 56. God makes light in the 3rd verse of the Bible. 3 and light have the same Gematria 56. 56 is big with the Jesuits who established the Illuminati, which means illuminated in the light. Also, why DMX would be used for a finals ritual. Notice Darkman X is 86. The year they began using the term NBA Finals, that name, because it's been called different things over the years, but the NBA Finals name has been intact since 86. The Celtics won the finals in 86. That was the year Len Bias got 86. Blood Sacrifice and Human Sacrifice also have that 86, but why DMX would make a fitting ritual for the finals? Right here. And Okay, and again, just we got the news on the 93rd day of the year. He was a rapper. He was also an actor. He was in a number of movies. And the memorial the day before the 93rd Academy Awards. I find that interesting. Okay, so that is the latest with the DMX memorial and the ongoing ritual by the numbers. Again, we talked about Geno Hayes in the news the same day as Shock G. Both stories connecting to Tampa, who won the Super Bowl. Both stories on the 112th day of the year when Super Bowls won 12, and the articles had to remind you that this man also wore the number 55, like that's the Super Bowl Tampa just won. And he played for two Florida teams, the Jaguars and the Bucks, and of course the Bucks just won. Okay, and then Biden today officially recognizes the massacre of Armenians in World War I as a genocide. And have our history books officially recognized the genocide of the natives? I don't think so. I don't think outside of Howard Zinn's A People's History is it recognized as a genocide, but that's no doubt what it was. Anyhow, it's interesting that today's the anniversary of the genocide beginning, and it's the 114th day of the year, and this happened during the World War, which was instigated by the Jesuits. Again, all the major wars in our history books, his story, remember his is a reflection of IHS, the Jesuit acronym, his story, English from Latin, the language of Rome. It's so obvious that the history we're living out is their history. We've been living in the Catholic sandbox for a long time. We're on their calendar system. The Gregorian calendar is credited to the Pope. The English language is credited to the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church is worldwide. The Jesuits are worldwide. Their influence is worldwide. Here we are in the U.S. thinking we're the greatest nation there ever was. Our whole nation's capital is Roman symbolism, Roman fasces. You know, the land where the Jesuits have been longer than the feds. It's really transparent once you pull your head out of the sand. But again, World War and history have the same gematria. Remember, we just did this with Matsuyama. Pearl Harbor's got the 114 connection. Matsuyama 114. He just won the Masters on 11/4. He won his last golf tournament on the day Hiroshima was bombed. He's the first Japanese golfer. Just, you know, again, the way they sync up all these rituals. Same numbers we're talking about. Presentation to presentation. Today it's the 114th day of the year. That day it was 11/4. And realize it's their game that we're decoding. We're not, for all of you who are like, well, 11/4, 114th day of the year. When you guys start accusing me of like making it, it's like, no, I'm not the one who planned the ritual. I'm the one exposing the ritual so you can see how scripted the world we're living in is in terms of what comes through the TV. Doesn't mean your life's scripted. But then again, you fall into the narratives they want you to fall in. You're kind of becoming part of their script. You're living as an individual, then you're not part of it. But anyway, here's the other thing that stands out. Today has 33 date numerology. Armenian genocide is 137, like Washington, D.C., like authority. And again, this is being acknowledged from Washington, D.C., right? This is the ritual. You're at Washington, D.C. The man in Washington, D.C., Joe Biden's acknowledging the Armenian genocide. Well, 137 is the 33rd prime number. Again, federal Masonry, secrecy, order, they're all 33. And again, modern Freemasonry created by the Jesuits. In the City of London, which is divided into 33 neighborhood areas, and England's 33, and England's been under the control of the Catholic Church for a long time, much longer than the U.S. has been in existence. But anyway, they're sure to point out that today's the 106th anniversary, and that's an interesting number. It's a number that connects to authority. You're having the president acknowledge this. And notice how prophecy and president share values. They share the 52 and the 110. Just like authority shares the 106 and 52. Again, we often see these numbers come together, 52 and 106, in prophecy rituals. And remember, the scripture, again, same argument I make in all my books. The script that is being, infused into our lives through TV and mainstream media and politics and government, it comes from the scripture, the prophecy in the scripture. It's like they're fulfilling what's in the book. Bob Marley's saying about this. But it's just so obvious. And again, this is in Turkey where this happened. Armenia, Turkey, the Ottoman Empire. Turkey is biblical land. That's where the first Christians of Antioch were established. Philadelphia in the Bible's in modern-day Turkey. Actually, I take it back. I think Antioch, Syria. But it's all right there in the same spot. But Philadelphia, which, name of where a lot of this country was set up, it's named after Philadelphia in the Bible, which comes from Turkey. So, again, we're talking about stories in biblical lands, and the world's been reshaped because of the world wars. And again, we can't even fully fathom. We can only imagine. But think about in wartime, when men were made to fight each other and told to hate one another based on the authority. You just think of the alpha types. I'm sure that, that they, following their government and their training and their societal, cultural programming, I'm sure a lot of alpha types were on the front lines, the biggest badasses in the war, and probably also some of the first to get killed because they caught bullets. I wonder how many, alpha types were just destroyed because of the world wars at once. Millions of people killed. A lot of men, because again, there's other people who get on the battlefield and all they do is hide and they can't pull the trigger. And it's not to say that they're wrong. I mean, maybe they realize that they've been lied to and now they're being forced to kill some other people and they don't want to kill, and that goes against their spiritual beliefs. But again, I'm sure that because of the world wars, I'm sure a lot of certain types of people were just essentially genocided. And then, less alpha types might be who remain more so. I mean, look at the world. It's never had so much feminine energy. And the stuff that's going on today, it could never happen without all this feminine energy. Guys going around in masks and scared of germs. And again, it's the war on germs from the same old Jesuits who gave you the world wars, the war on terror, the war on drugs. Don't forget the Jesuits got the Templar cross in their logo. Who profits off all these? The banks. And who are the original bankers? The Templars. I mean, it just all goes together. You got the military arm, the Jesuits. You got the banker arm, the Templars. And you got us getting sandwiched between their system. A lot of people like being a sandwich, apparently. That's what I've noticed. Anyway, the president of Turkey, Erdogan. From his birthday, the 57th day of the year, the anniversary of the World Trade Center bombing, a huge ritual in 93, from his birthday to today is 57 days later, or you can also say it's his 58th day of his age. It's 57 days after his birthday or his 58th day of his age. 57's big with the Jesuits and the Masons. Georgetown 57, Scottish Rite 57, Georgetown named after the Freemason George Washington, who turned 57 in the same year the university was established. One of several presidents inaugurated at age 57 in the Jesuit Scottish Rite land of D.C. And again, today's announcement coming from D.C., but D.C., again, is the land of the Jesuits and the Scottish Rite. Georgetown is the Jesuit university, which equals 57, just like Scottish Rite. Moon also equals 57. All these rituals have to do with time. The moon's on a 19-year cycle, so 57 is divisible by 19. The Turkish flag has the moon on it. So it has like a crescent moon. But again, it's just so obvious that it's all ritual. His name, by the way, is 58. This big acknowledgement in his country that they say could cause tensions between the U.S. and Turkey. But again, I think the appropriate response from him today would be like, okay, well, let's also recognize that the U.S. was born out of a genocide, and the nation's been at war, killing people all over the earth in the time of its existence. That would be a fair response. I don't think that should raise tensions. That should just make people go like, okay, man, I guess all of our countries are kind of born out of killing other people. Do we just want to keep doing this? Will this eventually happen to us again if we don't end these cycles? Is it possible there's a plot to wipe us out? I mean, these are the kind of conversations we should have. Tensions rise. Next thing you know, there's another airstrike story by the numbers. But anyway, all these 58 numbers. Again, my first book, I really get into 58 early in the book. It's a big number. And it's just a short list, but words like secret society, Rosicrucian, Freemasonry, Solomon's Temple, biblical, Gregorian calendar, zodiac, they're all 58. And a lot of people will tell you the Bible is astrotheology, so think about that. Biblical 58, zodiac 58, calendar 58, Gregorian, that's the calendar we're on, all those things. And again, the Masons, the Jesuits. The Jesuits created the Masons, but they're essentially the establishment Well, there's more to it, too. I mean, again, there's Knights Templar, there's Knights of Malta, there's other organizations. But, again, these things are the foundation, and that's why they're so well encoded in the language, too. You got to think about things like King James, who died at age 58, who has a Bible named after him. He was a Freemason and a Rosicrucian, died unexpectedly at age 58. Okay, number gets used a lot of ways. So, just had the 58 Hours of Terror with the King Soopers story. I got to go back and see how they did that one again. But the store had the 58 connection as well. Okay, so that's today. And then yesterday, again, Biden made his big plea for big spending on the climate on the 113th day of the year, Green New Deal 113. And again, the election was November 3rd, and we were talking about how, again, it would make sense if they put the Democrats in there. The election's on the perfect date. The Green New Deal's the thing. Agenda 21, Agenda 2030, big pushes for the environment, how all this comes together. So here we are on the 113th day of the year. I mean, the theory's already been proven correct, but now here we are on the 113th day of the year, and you're getting pretty much the biggest plea for the Green New Deal type of rhetoric yet, on the 113th day of the year. So, I mean, for all the people who think that this works a coincidence and pay it no mind, again, realize these people, their opinions literally do not matter. Like, their opinion is worth zero. They're dead wrong. There's a 0% chance they're correct in their argument going against this at this point. Way too many correct predictions, way too much evidence every single day, and whenever you hear these people argue, they're all robots. They're all robots. Their arguments are either name-calling or saying things like, I think it could all just be a coincidence, though. And you're like, why? And they're like, I don't know, just like numbers come together and stuff. It's like, oh, okay. I can have a more interesting conversation with the wall right now. Okay, so anyway, with regards to 113, big number with the coronavirus pandemic as well. And I've always taught about 113. It's another number in my first book that I go into great detail about. Again, the numbers that we've talked about in great detail, they're the same numbers we're always bringing up. But remember, coronavirus pandemic equals 113. And it was declared on March 11th, 11/3. And isn't it interesting that on the 113th day of the year, the CDC says, we're going to bring back the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, despite its health risks, because we think the good outweighs the bad. And again, this will make a lot of people who go in to get the vaccine ask for the Pfizer or Moderna vaccine, which modify your RNA, whereas the Johnson & Johnson one does not. So all of this is no doubt strategic, but it's also ritual. Just like how we talked about how the blood clot news came out by the numbers for Johnson & Johnson. Now they resume by the numbers on the 113th day of the year. And keep in mind, 113 is the 30th prime because vaccine's 30 in the most pure cipher. And it's kind of why the National Basketball Association's 113 and there's 30 teams in the league. But same type of thing right here. And they voted 10-4 to bring it back. And why do we let this private company, the CDC, which is not federal, why do we let it dictate so much to the government? A private company made up of a bunch of industry insiders. And yeah, but on the 113th day of the year, let me see. Did I link somewhere? Let me see if I linked a post. Well, I can just look it up this way, I think. Again, I just want to remind people about 113 and dishonesty. So in the Talmud, it's stated in Baba Kama 113a that some people may use lies to get around other groups of people, and you just got to talk about it that way at this day and age because everything is so censorship worthy. But notice, the verse has to do with who can lie to who. And mainstream is 113, and so is dishonest, and so is perverted, and so is not true, and so is not honest, and so is not factual, and so is disinfo, and so is politics, and perjury, and fiction, and bullshit, and infidelity, and divorce, and sinister, and erroneous. All these words have to do with being dishonest or incorrect. Coronavirus pandemic 113 on March 11th, 11/3. Now they're going to bring back the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, which they acknowledge is killing people. But so have the other vaccines, and they haven't been paused. So that would be the argument. We'll say, well, they didn't pause the other ones, and there's been similar stories. But just realize, they're kind of putting it out there, but at the same time, they're saying, listen, we had to clear ourselves of all liability. All the manufacturers of the vaccines had to clear themselves of all liability for wrongful death and illness because it's an emergency. And we got to take the risk because, if you get the vaccine, our data, the pharmaceutical industry data, straight from the 201 area code in New Jersey, Event 201, the coronavirus pandemic simulation 1 month before the outbreak, 201, the number of the Jesuits. But again, their data says that, the vaccine is mostly effective. But as they tell you, if you go out and get it, you still need to social distance, wear a mask, follow all the rules. And again, you're told to just believe the authority, obey, believe the word with lie right in the middle, right? Believe, our language with lie right in the middle. And I wish I could see the original way that the word believe was spelled. Because again, it was in the 16th century at the end of it that the Gregorian calendar rolled out and English was standardized with the spellings in 26-letter alphabet we use today. It existed for 600 years before that with different arrangements. But I wonder if believe always had lie right in the middle. Because realize, it's kind of awkward the way you spell believe. It's a weird word. Believe. The word live has the words of lie in it as well. And you look at most people, they hate the truth. They seem to be pretty content and used to living with lies. They've had them since they were a child. Their favorite story growing up was a lie. Santa Claus. They just can't wait for Santa Claus each year. The big lie. The big lie where if you don't teach it to your children, there's something wrong with you. You're not participating in the societal lies that are important for society. But okay. 113, and again, all this stuff is covered in the book, you guys, by the way. It's all in here. So, and especially in the first book, I get more into the Talmud 113 thing in my first book, but that's probably also why that book was banned everywhere, except for Sells. Shout out to Sells, who was recently bought up by Amazon, so we'll see how long Sells stays fighting the good fight. But, again, that's the world we live in, too. The one company to own all companies. It's happening more and more. Okay, so also in the news, supposedly a woman police officer was stabbed and killed in a knife attack yesterday, 49 years old, on the 113th day of the year. Again, 113 is the 30th prime. Police is 33 forwards. It's 30 in reverse, just like how this year on March 3rd, 3/3, on the 30-year anniversary of the beating of Rodney King, they had the George Floyd police reform bill passed on the 30-year anniversary on 3/3 when police is 33 and 30. Well, here on the 113th day of the year, the 30th prime, you get a story about police from the plus 33 international dialing code on the 303rd day of the prime minister's age who spoke out about this. And with regards to it being the 113th day of the year, don't forget that the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry came to power in France, and the Jesuits were created in Paris, France. And again, the Jesuits and the Masons from Paris to D.C., think about the founders of this country, how many studied in Paris, France. Well-known part of American history. A lot of people in the secret societies at the beginning of the nation. Okay. So Prime Minister Jean Castex told journalists on Friday of the story of the terrorist attack. I'm not sure how you say the town. Is it Rambouillet? Maybe something like that. But, again, from her, well, sorry, France. I'm gonna assume Jean is a woman. Maybe it's a dude. I don't know. I know that you got, I can't even think of his name right now, and I've covered it so many times. Emmanuel Macron, Mr. 58 himself. Talk about a lot of 58 stories I've covered. God, go back and look at all my old work on Emmanuel Macron, Mr. 58. Just like the leader in Turkey's Mr. 58, the secret society numbers. Secret societies clearly running the show in the world, in a world where people have been put to sleep by these same secret society types, and they think there's no such thing as conspiracy and everything's a theory. They can't differentiate between fact and theory. But anyway, on the 303rd day of Jean Castex's age, and I guess in the information age, I cannot be lazy and I can just do a search here and I'll probably get a face. Oh, it's a guy. Okay, Gene, sorry. He's got the unisex name. All right, so Gene's a dude, and on his 303rd day of his age, he's giving us the story about the fatal stabbing of the police And again, please 33 forwards, 30 in reverse. Order's got that 3330. Order out of chaos, the motto. And then for other familiar numbers, the name of this town has the Gematria 47, like France, like policeman, like cop, like government, like authority, like Vatican, like Christian, like Francis, like DC, like Republican, like Democrat, like Whig, like President, like White House. Again, just DC laid out by the French Freemason L'Enfant. And also, this was compared to the Tunisian carrying Quran fatally... Look at this headline. Tunisian carrying Quran fatally stabs 3 in French church. He's got his Quran in one hand. He's got his knife in the other. And this is just like how that Jack Ryan series begins, with the stabbing in a Catholic church in France. And again, the Tom Clancy Jack Ryan series pays tribute to the Jesuits. Jack Ryan's Jesuit educated. But anyway, these incidents, October 29th to April 23rd, 177 days apart. Big number with the Jesuit order. The Jesuit order 177, New World Order 177, Propaganda 177. And if you did not watch my coverage of all of the France terrorism that was going on around that time, the beheading on the anniversary of the beheading of Maria Antoinette, and then the stabbing on the Prophet Muhammad's birthday, and there was one other ritual they did that I forget right now, but it was all so blatant. It was all such blatant propaganda, mocking the spiritual days, the days in history, and that's what they do day after day. That's why they mock us with the phrases. Those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it, because every day history is being repeated and nobody even notices. We're doomed people right now. We truly are, as a society. We are doomed people because we have no knowledge. We are perishing for lack of knowledge. Here in the U.S. and much of the world, we're giving up rights and liberties to be kept safe from germs. You know, I haven't lived in fear all year. I haven't followed any of the rules, and I've been totally healthy and totally fine and working my ass off and putting myself out there more than most people. You know? But I can't share my story. That's medical misinformation from big tech at this day and age, to share your own truthful story. Okay, and then again, it was a stabbing of 3, and this was connected to the prior Tunisia terrorism event, and they're making movies about that as well. I mean, all of this stuff, you guys, is such contrived propaganda by the code to keep the people of the world divided. Again, Jesuit tactics, divide and conquer, order out of chaos. And, you know what I just realized about the woman being 49 that I should caught before in this story? This happened on the 113th day of the year, and she's 49. Scottish. Again, the Scottish Rite came to power in France, and they have a lot of influence over policing. Scottish is 49 and 113. So a 49-year-old on the 113th day of the year. And you see how Scottish has the 103, just like Jesuits, the plural. And, again, you see how Jesuits has the 50, whereas Scottish had the 49. America's got the 49 and 50, as does Washington, the land of the Jesuits and the Scottish Rite. Okay, 50 states and 1 million territories in the U.S., but it could be 51 soon. Federal 51, Rome 51. D.C. wants Rome on the Potomac. We'll see what happens. See if they mess with that 50. Okay. So Derek Chauvin will be sentenced on June 16th. So they're actually going 8 weeks and 1 day after the verdict on April 20th. But that's 57 days later, right? 57, and we've been talking about this. Also, June 16th is the 167th day of the year, which is the 39th prime. So George is 57 and 39, so is Gemini. And again, he was killed in the time of Gemini, the twins in the Twin Cities. So, from the verdict to the sentencing, 57 days later, on the 167th day of the year, the 39th prime, where we've been pointing out how these numbers have been used ritualistically with the George Floyd stories all year as well. And again, 57 connects to the moon, time rituals. The moon's on the 19-year cycle. Floyd's got the gematria of 19 as well. Like chaos, like riot, like what happened last year after his killing. And, That date also has 43 numerology. George Floyd 43, policeman 43. Remember, they added 43 seconds to the time on the neck. It went from 8:46 to 9:29. It's also a date with 63 numerology and racism 63. So that's their next opportunity to potentially provoke people with this story. But then again, if they're not going to provoke people anymore with this story, they've already done it a lot, right? We see how they got it cooked up, how many shootings they gave us in the Minneapolis area, Chicago area during the time of the George Floyd trial when he was reportedly killed on the corner of Chicago Avenue. Again, they're hinting that in the months ahead, there will be more outrage. The story out of Columbus, Ohio right now as well. Micaiah Bryant. Another story to make people get worked up and take sides. You know, the angry young teenager with a violent history and a knife threatening another woman who was killed by the cop, rolling up in police cruiser 201 to kill Micaiah Bryant 201 right after the George Perry Floyd 201 rituals come to a close after a year straight. But again, it's just so obvious, man. All these stories just trying to work us up, make us take sides. That's what they want everyone to do. Take a side. Political party, take a side. You know, homosexuality, take a side. Religion, take a side. Race, take a side. You know, transgender, take a side. All these stories right now being pressed nonstop in the news for us to continually think about. Programming. And again, just this latest update, remember, this Philip Adams killing in Rock Hill, South Carolina on 4/7. Again, just in my background, you guys, in my background, that license plate back there on the shelf, what is 47? What is 47? And Rock Hill in Gematria is 47. The word rock alone is also 47. On 4/7, former NFL player, where 47 is a big number at the NFL because it was the first Super Bowl season, because 47 is this big boss number with the authorities and the secret society types. You know, the Masons with the 47 degrees on the Masonic compass out of the Scottish Rite of France, where France is 47, DC is 47. Again, DC laid out by the French Freemason L'Enfant, the cornerstone laid September 18th, 1793, a date with 47 numerology. This past year, Ruth Bader Ginsburg died on that date, had 47 numerology this year as well, 9 plus 18 plus 20. And Judge and Gavel and Obey are 47, and she died on Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year, to be replaced by the Catholic Amy Coney Barrett. Vatican, Francis, 47. Again, France, 47. The Jesuits, the Masons, France. Pope Francis even has Gematria 58 and 59 in his name, like Freemasonry. He does the hidden hand pose, which the Masons and the Jesuits do, who are closely related. The Jesuits created modern Freemasonry. But again, this football player, this former NFL player, murder mystery, he's pegged for it in a suicide. He's never here to give his side of the story, and we're just expected to accept this from the authorities. They got the police, they got the evidence, he did it. He might have had head damage from playing in the NFL. It might be a CTE. And shout out to Larry Johnson, again, the only NFL player to step up to the mic and share anything about what's going on in the world. And, of course, he's been very active on his own Twitter page, which began long before he came on our radio program a little more than a year ago. I believe it was January 2020 Larry Johnson came on. And, I'm pretty sure the Super Bowl was set when he came on, because I think I was asking him, is he still in contact with the team? But again, I mean, what I worry about with a Larry Johnson is, you know, what if someday he got suicided, like they just got sick of this man speaking out, and they even blamed something crazy on him, and then they said, oh, he had CTE too. I mean, how many more NFL players can they do this to? They kind of did that before even CTE to O.J. Simpson. Well, he's a football player. His head might have been banged up when he murdered his wife. You know, everybody assumed that he was guilty. Of course, that whole thing was by the numbers too. I mean, God, I got to go back and look. I know there's a big fat 113 in the O.J. Simpson story. It might even be his name. I haven't covered O.J. Simpson saga for so long. It is. It's his name. O.J. Simpson's 113. And, of course, Simpson's got the 33 in it, too. There's a lot to, there's a lot to the O.J. Simpson thing. But again, that was another divide and conquer story, all about race and the trial of the century. Why? People get murdered all the time. Why is it the trial of the century? Because it's a former football player. And I think the movie he did right before that happened was Naked Gun 33 1/3. actor, football player. Again, we know this stuff's all a big joke. I was saying why the Super Bowl was going to be the Broncos beating the Panthers in Super Bowl 50 in tribute to O.J. Simpson with the white Bronco chase. Cam Newton, Huey P. Newton, the first Black Panther. Cam Newton, the greatest Black Panther on the Carolina Panthers. It's just, stuff's all a big sick joke. Again, Huey P. Newton died on the day leaving 131 days left in the year. Cam Newton was born on the 131st day of the year in the same year, 1989. Huey P. Newton died August 22nd. Cam Newton born May 11th. And Huey P. Newton and Gematria equals 131, just like Super Bowl. Ended up being a big Super Bowl ritual in the Bay Area where the Black Panthers were founded. As for this shooting in Bourbon Street, it says it was on the 100 block, and I forget exactly where that was, but there is a stretch of Bourbon Street where you just get past like the long strip of bars, and there's kind of just like abandoned streets. I'm guessing that's where this was done. I don't know for sure. But I know that they report a lot of things that aren't exactly happening just to keep up with the programming. Oh my God, we got to do some out gun control. There's shootings everywhere, even on Bourbon Street, big tourist attraction. But notice, Saturday morning. Now, granted, they said it happened around 2 a.m. That's around close time for bars, and Bourbon Street would still be packed. I haven't been down to Bourbon Street in the time of the pandemic. I was down there right before it was declared. But tell you what, at the end of January, beginning of February, I mean, it was as packed as ever. But that was 2020. So I don't know if COVID's definitely cooled things down, but yeah, anyway, it's just another Saturday shooting in the national news. Yes, shootings do happen, and New Orleans is a city known for shootings, but how often do you see New Orleans in your national news for a shooting? Not very often at all. But it is on this Saturday, and remember, Saturday and shooting have the same gematria. So does Wednesday in shooting, and that's why historically the most shootings had been on Saturdays and Wednesdays. But in recent days, there's pretty much one every day. So this one does come on a 33-date numerology, and notice how the headlines are. CNN says, police say. NBC News says, police say. Police say there was a shooting. And again, today's got the 33-date numerology, police federal masonry secrecy order. You can add the FF word to that list that you can't say on YouTube anymore. And remember, this comes right after Derek Chauvin, the police officer, guilty on his 33rd day of his age, and his name is 33 the same way. But when it's in the national news, that's when the stories are always suspect. And anyway, so there's our Saturday shooting. And then with regards to Bitcoin, if you weren't here at the beginning of the year, January 2nd, Bitcoin hit its record high at 33,000. We did a long live stream that day. And I said in the live stream, I said, look at how many 45 connections Bitcoin has. It's surging. It's 33 years after the Economist cover. It's hitting the milestone 33K to start the year. About, the Economist cover from 33 years earlier is about the new world currency that's coming. We got to be ready for it. And Bitcoin hits this 33K milestone right at the start of the year. Well, in that video, I talked about how Bitcoin's real number is 45 and to expect it to be at 45K by Valentine's Day, the 45th day of the year. I said it's possible it's up to 50K because we looked at an article where a guy estimated that it would hit 50K in February. And I said, well, I'd say at least 45K by the 45th day of the year. Well, on Valentine's Day, it was worth 48K. So, I mean, it went from 33K to 48K. And for those of you who aren't good with math, that means had you invested $100 in Bitcoin on January 2nd when we pointed this out, your investment would have been worth about 1.5 times. So you would have had close to $150. It probably been like $148 or something like that had you invested $100 on January 2nd. By Valentine's Day, it would have been worth $150. And it's gone up even more than that, and now it's come back down to right around 50K. But here's the thing I wanted to say. The reason that we knew 45 was the number is through Satoshi Nakamoto, who's this character that some people say is, like the made-up alias of the true inventor of Bitcoin, and some people think it's Elon Musk. But you see how his birthday is April 5th? His birthday is April 5th, 75. And he turned 46 this month on April 5th. He was 45 while this was going on with Bitcoin. So he was 45 years old with an April 5th birthday, and check this out. We're going to measure from his 2020 birthday, because this is when we were talking about this. But April 5th, 2020 to Valentine's Day, the 45th day of the year 2021, it was exactly 45 weeks later, right? Exactly 45 weeks. And the thing is, when you write out Bitcoin, in the cipher where Bitcoin's 45, so is Nakamoto. Nakamoto, spelled correctly, is 45. And in that same cipher, so is Ritual. Ritual 45. And understand, all these ciphers get used together ritualistically. You see how Ritual is also 27? Like the 27 Club? Remember, Trump was declared the winner, number 45, the 45th president, on the 27-year anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall, November 9th, 2016. Fell 89, so on the 27-year anniversary. And Berlin Wall's got that 45 as well. But you see how Berlin Wall's also 63? 2016 is the 63rd triangular number. So 2016, the year that he became president-elect on the anniversary of the fall of the wall, fits in also with Berlin Wall through that Gematria cipher. And remember, he did the Serta Mattresses ad nearly a decade prior, talking to Digital Sheep 11 and 9, like November 9th on Pillars, about being born for the job wearing the same suit and tie that he wore for selection night. So again, that's how the ciphers work together, and it's undeniable unless you're brain dead. But anyway, you see how we just talked about Nakamoto, Bitcoin, Ritual, all 45, Valentine's Day, 45th day of the year, 45 weeks after his 45th birthday on 4/5. This is how I felt so confident about it hitting at least 45K by that day, as it did. But with regards to the 13th, being the day that it hit its peak, right after his birthday, notice how 13 is 45 forwards and backwards, right? There's some other words that are like this, like Holy Bible is that way. You think about King James, with the Holy Bible named after him, how he became a king at 13 months of age. By the way, the King James Bible came out in 1611. That was the year King James turned 45. He was born 1566. In 1611, when the Bible came out in his name, he turned 45 that year. You see? You see how Holy Bible's got the 153, like Jesuit order, like the miraculous catch of 153 fish? Again, and a lot of the biblical teachings are like the Hermetic teachings. Hermetic's got that 45 forwards and backwards. So anyway, the number special is the point I'm making. And then Bitcoin slips on the 13th after he gets out of this age of 45. Now he's 46, right? 46 is the chaos number. Remember, chaos with our two most simple ciphers is 46 and 19. Chaos is 46. 19 matters because 19 is the 8th prime number. It was 8 days after his birthday that it hit its peak, and then it began to fall. And notice also that its peak was in the 63K range because money's 63, Bitcoin, digital money. My whole theory is that they're going to use this year to get people really excited about cryptocurrencies. And like I've been saying, I mean, I don't know what the total future of Bitcoin is. I can understand some of the rituals they do. And if you've been missing out on everything that we've been pointing out about Bitcoin, there's 21 million Bitcoins. This is going on in 21. Huge number with the Jesuits. It was January 2nd, 2/1, as it's written, in Rome, where the Jesuits are, where they have their own independent bank, the Catholic Church and the Jesuits in Vatican City. And again, a lot of people say that the majority of the stakeholders for Bitcoin are actually in China. Well, remember, China's controlled by the Jesuits too. You know, Jesuits are New World Order. They're big all throughout the world. And again, it's like, well, what is going to happen this year with Bitcoin? Now that he's 46, which is a number associated with chaos, and also the Latin ordo ab chao for order out of chaos. Are they going to build up Bitcoin higher, or has it possibly reached its peak? Is it time for another crypto to emerge? Again, if you look, the crypto that's the most interesting to me based on who is on the board of that crypto, not so much Gematria, but just based on who's on the board, is XRP. It's got a bunch of New World Order types. And it was first put on market on 2/2 in 2013. But by the way, with regards to 13 and money, think about your US dollar bill, the 13 layers of bricks, Think about the 13s, you know, the arrows, just how many different 13s are on the dollar bill? 13 stripes, 13 colonies, 13 families, with the Bavarian Illuminati established in 1776 like the nation. But anyway, XRP went on the market in 2013 on February 2nd, 2/2, the 33rd day of the year. And then it made its first transaction on August 4th, 8/4, another big special day. United States of America, 84, Jesuit, 84. Jesuits, the plural's 22 in the most pure cipher. But XRP, we've just been documenting all these 22 rituals with it. And again, it went on market on 2/2. Recently, it had the, the SEC that brought the charges against it with the 79-page document. 79 is the 22nd prime number. And that started on the 22nd. I can't remember if it's February 22nd or January 22nd. I'm pretty sure it wasn't March 22nd. You guys, I have been grinding really hard for a long time, and it's like I'm grinding harder and harder as time goes on. I'll tell you what, man, sometimes I'm like, am I getting Alzheimer's? I can't remember if that was a week ago or 2 weeks ago right now. So, but that's how it is when you work hard. I mean, when you just work hard, time really does become a blur. But anyway, and you notice XRP has that big 58 on it too, doesn't it? And, but I was thinking about XRP, and here, I'll just show you something. XRP, I have a feeling that next year it's going to be a good year for it. And here's what I see. Again, XRP was essentially built to replace Bitcoin. And time will tell if this eventually happens. Right now, XRP is a hard thing to get. It's still on the outskirts, but I have a feeling it's going to be brought back in, and then it's going to do well. And it's a ritual. These people do rituals in time. They're biding the time for XRP right now. But here's the thing. XRP, it first went on market February 2nd, 2013, and its first sale was August 4th, 2013. And so again, XRP, big with the 22. And what I noticed is from its first ever sale to November 13th, 2022, near the end of 22, that's 484 weeks later. I was looking for 484 weeks because that number has a square root of 22. The square root of 484 is 22. And so I'm looking for a date in 2022 that could be a real milestone, a big achievement. And while something like this seems hard to fathom now, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, I have to do a lot more research on this, but again, this is how I always start with my research. Like I start with an idea, and then I follow up on it, and I see if I can make more connections, if there's more reasons that might make sense. Is there a historical thing that happened on that day in history? I think the Federal Reserve was December 13th in history. But November 13th, it is on the 13th, and it's in 22, and it's in the 11th month. Again, you got your master numbers there, you got your Illuminati numbers there, but it's also 484 weeks later, the square root of 22. And then the other date to think about, I did also measure from Satoshi Nakamoto's birthday to November 13th, just to see how that might go, if it all goes together, if somehow the real planners of Bitcoin, which seem to be the Jesuits, are also the same planners of XRP. And they got, because again, when they're controlling the schemes, it's so easy for them to make money when they got the world playing in their games. If they're the ones that can collapse it, and benefit when it's at the peak, and then buy low and profit again, and then collapse it again, they keep profiting on this because they know the time schedule. They know the day that they'll collapse and make their money and then buy low and do it again. And this is essentially why you have a ruling class in this world, an investor class and a working class. That's the way the world is ruled by the investor class. This isn't secret knowledge. This is known facts. The people who don't work, who own the businesses that we shop at and work for, they don't work. They just rule over us. They make the policies. They collect all the royalties, the dividends. But anyway, Nakamoto, from his birthday, April 5th to November 13th, is 222 days later. 222, right? So that is very interesting as well. Order out of chaos is 222. That's the concept they work by. And then the other date that's also interesting that year is, or interesting date that's earlier in the year, is May 14th, 2022. What that is 484 weeks after it went on market. May 14th stands out to me in a big way because that's the day in history Israel was created. It'll be the 74th birthday of Israel that day. But remember, that date's 14/5. And if you look into Bitcoin, the people behind Bitcoin, there's a lot of Catholic influence there. Again, Catholics, Jesuits, Rome, money, living the same way the Roman Empire did worldwide pretty much. But anyway, Catholic has the gematria of 145. Remember, there's 145 more chapters in the Catholic Old Testament than the Protestant Old Testament. And the Catholic Old Testament also has 46 books, like the big ritual with Joe Biden, the Catholic president, number 46, and the only Catholic president to date, JFK, killed at age 46, who was number 35. But by the way, you guys, on a slightly, if you saw what I covered yesterday, oh, I didn't mean to write car accident, I meant to write car crash. Car crash and Catholic, you see how they're the exact same in 3 out of the 4 ciphers? I talked about this pattern with the death of Beau Biden's wife and child in 72. His wife and daughter. But this car crash that just happened with the young University of Kentucky player, he supposedly crashed while racing with another young basketball star. Both of them had just signed with LeBron. One lived, one didn't. The one who lived, his name was 224, and it happened on April 22nd, 22/4, Brandon Boston Jr. It's also 145 days after Brandon Boston Jr.'s birthday that this fatal car crash of the other young man who signed with LeBron. And then the 71, the coach at Kentucky of the young man, Terrence Clark, he died 71 days after his college coach's birthday, Calipari, who looks like a mafioso. Literally. Literally. And again, I'll remind you guys with the whole Event 201 simulation in New Jersey, Mafia land. Again, where does the Mafia go back to? Oh, Rome. Where do the Jesuits go back to? Rome. How does our government operate? Like a mafia? Yes, they do. Henchmen, kill their nemesis, start wars with their enemies. Again, things are actually really transparent. All of us who get called conspiracy theorists, we're just the only people with eyes to see. The moron masses, they got all these names for us, but they're the real morons. They're the real idiots. They're the real crazy ones. You got to be crazy in a way to not see what's going on. It's so obvious. They just sign with LeBron James and then they're just dead. I mean, how many more stories do we need like this with LeBron? It is sick. And people worship this man. But yeah, that's how all my research starts, Start with a theory, look at it, keep investigating, have the date in mind. Are more things lining up with that date? Go back and look at November 13th in history. And, yeah, I know something else. I'll just save it for later. I just know something else I didn't notice before just looking at my notes right now. But, yeah, the digital currency thing, it's not going to be good for us ultimately. I mean, you could make a lot of money off this digital currency. I mean, if you got XRP now, if you figured out how to get it and put in the work to get it, and it did blow up by 2022, I mean, your whole life would be different. But at the same time, it's like, for me, I have this ethical thing with it. It's like, I don't want to invest in these electronic currencies that I realize they control. And I see that they're trying to bait us into this. The dollar, you got to realize too, I mean, you got to plan for the future. The dollar is a depreciating asset. It's the writing's on the wall with the dollar. The Economist isn't just a magazine. It's part of this New World Order cabal. And again, it's very clear they want us on something more digital, more traceable by the government, more trackable, the surveillance state. Electronic currency will make all of that very possible. Oh, by the way, when they wanted to build a better Bitcoin, the goal started in 2011. Again, the master number, right? 11. That's why that date at the end of 2022, November 13th, 484 weeks after the first transaction, that is a very interesting date. So, and May 14th is interesting too, but we'll see. The November 13th one is the one that gets me more. But they could end up being big stories for XRP in the time ahead. Both those dates could end up being big stories. We circle dates. A lot of times we get exactly what we're looking for. And sometimes it doesn't happen, and sometimes if we're off the mark, we're not far off the mark. So, okay. I think that's all for now right now, True Seeker. And I got a bunch of work to do because I'm working on the Kentucky Derby. And yes, I am aware. A lot of people are commenting and saying, Zach, your links don't work in your descriptions. YouTube continues to actively tamper with the links in the description of my videos that have worked, for 2 straight years. But in recent months, that I have to keep switching it up because they make the links inactive. Again, it just shows you how. Even though they're not taking down Gematria Effect Sports right now, I'm actually talking about this going on Gematria Effect Sports. The links for that channel, they don't work anymore. They worked until recently, and I replaced them, and now I got to replace them again. But YouTube is just doing so much stuff to try to censor, to make it so people can't communicate, use links that other YouTube creators have provided. The link that they keep the links that they keep disactivating are the ones from my Patreon and my PayPal, and it just shows you they don't want people to donate. They want to make it harder for people to donate, impossible for people to donate. This is what big tech is doing, right? Pretty sure they're sending out agent provocateurs even to the corner in Yakima to mess with us. If you missed what they did last Friday, as soon as I got on camera, within a minute, a guy shows up threatening to throw rocks. Another guy comes by 20 minutes later, all aggravated, flailing like he acted wanted to fight. And it's just like, okay, what in the world is going on? And yeah, if you missed what happened in Seattle, we definitely had agent provocateurs there, but it's just like there's just so much work to try to stop all progress and all networking. And again, let me remind you guys, in case some of you don't know about it, freetofindtruth.com if you're not signed up there. Again, social media for truth seekers, totally free to use. People constantly sharing new information. Michelle just wrote her first ebook. She's promoting it right now. Check that out. Michelle's a great contributor in the community. A lot of people very active. Got a lot of people stepping up, doing their own sports decodes, advertising their own Patreon page. It's like, yeah, and it's fine. It's fine. I like to see that more people are doing the work, trying to figure out a way to make a living, getting out of the slave matrix. Granted, this website's not supposed to be just about Gematria, but because so many of the people that find this website find it through me, it's become like a major Gematria hub, but it's all things truth related. And again, it's censorship free. If you post here, your stuff stays saved here like an archive post. And people can find you, network, you can make your friends on here, block people if you need to block them. And by the way, if you guys didn't know that was a newer feature. If you click on somebody, if they're really bothering you, you can click block. And again, the one rule on Free to Find Truth is no trolling. If it seems like you're just trolling, the only people who've had their accounts deleted have been people that are just on here just spamming, just trying to fight with everybody and troll. And it's obvious that they just came to be a disruption. So, but if you're just on here, you're welcome to have a difference of opinion. Like I said, I'm not a big flat earth person, but there's a flat earth section on here. People can talk about whatever truth related. They don't have to worry about being censored. Again, agree to disagree on here. Try to network with people that are like-minded. You see somebody on here who they post, send them a message, say hello. When you set up your profile, you're able to put what city you're from or state or country. And you can search the database for who's in those cities, states, and countries. And, you could check out their post. You can see if you like what they're talking about. Maybe send them a message. Maybe, you guys end up hanging out. Maybe you meet a new friend in your neighborhood who's into the truth who you didn't know was there or in your city. And apparently Resist the Cabal's got a YouTube channel going now. Bryce is letting us know. And okay, a lot of sports knowledge here. I got to admit, a lot of people send me messages on here, and I'm not good at just like all my places, I'm not good at keeping up with my messages, you guys. Again, I'm working myself to death over here, but freetofindtruth.com if you're not on there. Again, you really should be. I saw Asif this morning. I love Asif. Asif was mad because he posted something and YouTube deleted it, so he lost the whole comment. Remember, Asif, always copy before you post on the big tech platforms. I always have Twitter getting rid of my stuff even before I post. I don't know if you guys have that problem on Twitter, but I'll be typing something out, and then it'll just lose the whole thing while I'm typing it out, usually when I'm, right near maxing it out, and it'll say an error happened, refresh, and then you refresh, and they can't get it back. You got to retype it out. Sometimes it crashes again. It's like, okay, seriously, do they not want me to post about this? So then I'll go type it up on Free to Find Truth, copy and paste it, and then I'll post it into the Twitter just real quick before it can even figure out with its algorithm to sabotage my message. But I was going to say that. I mean, you could post what you're going to post on Free to Find Truth and copy it from there if you wanted to share it on YouTube or Twitter or something else. So, yeah, I think we covered it all, Truth Seeker. Hopefully they don't need to off any more actors for the 93rd Academy Awards. Hopefully DMX was enough with his news on the 93rd day of the year. But the way these people are, doesn't seem like there's ever enough. We'll leave it there for now. Appreciate all you guys. Have a great rest of your Saturday. Thank you for hitting the like, and appreciate everyone who shares the videos too. Remember, you might not get any likes on your social media for sharing this kind of work, but still, there might be somebody or a few people who watch the video who think it's interesting, and you gave them a drop in the bucket. You didn't get any likes or any kind of reward that way on your social media page, but maybe you actually did help spread the work without even realizing it. Again, it's only going to get out there if people share it. Appreciate all of you, and